Sunday at Bristol. Kyle Larson led 284 laps. Swept Stage 1. Swept Stage 2. Dominated the race so completely that between him and Ryan Blaney, they led all but 31 laps. And then he finished third. The defending Cup Series champion. The guy who won this exact race last year, leading 411 of 500 laps. 0 wins in his last 32 Cup starts. And the worst part? This was the second time in 24 hours he dominated a race at Bristol and lost. Here's exactly what's going wrong with Kyle Larson. If you don't understand how strange Kyle Larson's current situation is, stop scrolling, because what happened to him at Bristol over one weekend is the loudest evidence yet that something is genuinely off with the defending Cup Series champion. And I promise you, the math behind this drought is going to make you look at the 2026 playoff picture completely differently. Kyle Larson is, by reputation, the most naturally gifted driver in the sport. Hendrick Motorsports star. The 2021 Cup Series champion. The defending 2025 Cup Series champion, per ESPN's Race Recap Sunday. A driver who, in 2025, walked into the Food City 500 at Bristol and led 411 of 500 laps on his way to victory. A race he won at an average speed of 100.746 miles per hour by a margin of 2.250 seconds, per the Bristol Motor Speedway press office recap from April 2025. That's not just dominance, that's historical dominance. So when he rolled into Bristol this past weekend, the expectation was simple. This was the track where his muscle memory lives. This was the track that would end the drought. But here's what the critics said heading into the weekend. And this is important because it set up everything that came next. They said, Larson has been fast all season. He's been in the mix, but almost isn't winning. Until he closes one of these races, the narrative doesn't change. Per Racing America's pre-race coverage by Toby Christie, Larson arrived at Bristol already carrying a 31-race Cup winless streak. At the time, the number sounded harsh. 24 hours later, it sounded like prophecy. Before we get to Sunday's Cup race, you have to understand what happened Saturday. Because the two losses are the same story, 24 hours apart. Per the official NASCAR.com O'Reilly Auto Parts Series recap by the NASCAR staff, Saturday night's Suburban Propane 300 at Bristol was a Larson showcase for almost the entire night. Running a JR Motorsports car, Larson led 230 of 300 laps. Swept Stage 1. Swept Stage 2. Was never seriously threatened at the front until Mason Maggio's engine exploded on the backstretch, filled the Last Great Colosseum with smoke, and forced a 3-minute 5-second red flag. After the restart, Larson went right back to the lead. Then Gray Gaulding spun in Turn 1 on lap 270. Caution, strategy split. Per NASCAR.com's recap, Connor Zilisch, Brent Cruz, and Corey Day stayed out on old tires. Larson pitted for fresh rubber and restarted fourth. The final caution for Anthony Alfredo locked in Zilisch's track position. Larson couldn't clear him. Final result, Zilisch wins. Larson second, leading 230 of 300. Losing anyway. Here's the thing, though, and I need you to pay attention here because this is the part everyone is missing. Saturday night should have been the pressure release. A non-points O'Reilly race in a winning car is the kind of session that rebuilds a driver's confidence. Instead, Larson watched a Cup rookie who'd admitted earlier that week that he'd forgotten who he was, beat him with old tires. That's not a warm-up loss. That's the exact same lesson, waiting to be taught again on Sunday. Sunday, Food City 500. Per the official NASCAR.com Cup Race Recap and Jayski's Fast Facts, Kyle Larson took over from pole winner Ryan Blaney on lap 44 and got to work. He won Stage 1 by 1.613 seconds over Christopher Bell. He won Stage 2 by 0.1 seconds over Blaney. Per Jayski, he led a race-high 284 laps of the 500 scheduled. Now stack it against Saturday. Saturday, 230 of 300, both stages swept, lost. Sunday, 284 of 500, both stages swept, lost. Over a single Bristol weekend, Kyle Larson led 514 laps across 2 races and walked away with nothing better than second place. Per NASCAR.com's recap, the Sunday finish came apart the same way Saturday's did. Chase Elliott spun to cause the 8th caution. Ty Gibbs stayed out on 95-lap older tires. Larson pitted with Blaney for fresh rubber. Per NASCAR.com's recap, Gibbs restarted the lead on lap 486. Then Kyle Busch spun Riley Herbst on lap 497 in payback, forcing overtime. 2-lap shootout. Larson on fresh tires from 3rd position, and he still couldn't get past Blaney to even take a shot at Gibbs. Per the official recap, Gibbs beat Blaney by 0.055 seconds. Larson crossed the line 3rd, 0.229 seconds back. Per ESPN's race recap by the Associated Press, Larson is now winless in his past 32 races. Add the Saturday night O'Reilly loss. That's 514 laps led across 2 races at the same track. 0 trophies. Per Jayski's Fast Facts, Sunday was Larson's 14th top 10 finish in 20 career Bristol starts. That's genuinely elite career Bristol math, and it made no difference. When the checkered flag fell, the hottest car on the property ran 3rd. Now here's the part that should make every Larson fan and every Hendrick Motorsports employee lose sleep. And if you've been waiting for the punchline of this video, this is it. Let's stack the 2026 numbers. Per Jayski's updated post-Bristol standings, Larson now sits 6th in the Cup Series points with 260, 84 points above the cut line, but 126 points behind leader Tyler Reddick, who has 4 wins on the season. Per NASCAR.com's Martinsville recap from March 29th, Hendrick Motorsports broke through with Chase Elliott winning at Martinsville. Chevrolet's first 2026 win. Hendrick's first 2026 win. The team climbed out of its hole. Larson did not. Meanwhile, per the April 2025 Bristol recap, exactly 1 year ago, Larson led 411 of 500 laps and won the Food City 500 in the most flawless afternoon of his 2025 championship season. Do you know his quote after that race, per the Bristol press office? "That was a lot of fun. Just a flawless day for the number 5 team. It's good to be back in victory lane." 12 months later, at the same track, with the same organization, the same crew, and the same talent behind the wheel, he leads 284 laps and finishes 3rd. Here's the math that should terrify the number 5 team. Reddick has won 4 races, Blaney has won 1 and now has a runner-up. Ty Gibbs just broke through after 131 starts. Hamlin, Elliott, Briscoe all have wins or near wins in 2026. Larson has the speed. He has the stages. He has the laps led. What he doesn't have is a victory. And in the new 2026 Chase format, per Red Bull's format explainer referenced across multiple outlets, the playoffs reward full-season consistency. But wins still carry enormous weight for seeding. Every race that passes without a Larson win tightens the vice. Per ESPN, it's 32 races now. At his current pace of consistent front-running without converting, The streak could hit 40 before Talladega shows up. And Talladega, per NASCAR.com's earlier coverage, is a super speedway, a totally different animal that doesn't care how fast you were last week. So here's the scenario that defines Kyle Larson's 2026. He is the best car in most races he enters. He is also, somehow, never in victory lane. In a sport where the difference between Hall of Fame seasons and good years is usually 3 or 4 checkered flags, Larson has been on the wrong side of that line for 12 straight months. So here's what I want you to think about. And I mean really think about it. 1 year ago this weekend, Kyle Larson led 411 of 500 laps at Bristol and won the Food City 500 in a rout. This weekend, at the same track, he led 514 laps across 2 races and won nothing. The 2025 version of this driver was the most dominant in the sport. The 2026 version is, by every raw speed metric, the same driver. But he's watching kids he used to beat celebrate in victory lane. Connor Zilisch on Saturday, Ty Gibbs on Sunday. 2 first-time winners at the same track in the same weekend, and both of them came through him to get there. Is Kyle Larson going to break the streak? The talent didn't vanish. Per Jayski, he's 6th in points with 14 top 10s at Bristol in his career. The speed is there every single week. But ask yourself this. If you lead 514 laps across 2 races at the track that's supposed to be your playground, cheeky, and you go home with 0 trophies, what does the rest of the season look like? Because the streak isn't bad luck anymore. Not after 32 races. And the longer it takes him to figure out whatever's broken, the more the rest of the Cup Series garage gets to believe the unthinkable, that the defending champion isn't the fastest gun in the sport anymore. Drop your prediction in the comments. When does Larson win again? Or does he miss out on his first Cup win of 2026 entirely? Like this video if you think the streak breaks at Kansas. Subscribe if you're new. I'll see you Sunday.